Think about a casual conversation that you might have with an acquaintance. How far away are you standing from them? Do you look them in the eye? How do you greet them? With a handshake, a hug, or a kiss on the cheek? To us, some of these questions may seem like no-brainers. In American culture, we don't put high value upon close proximity and touch during conversation. This is not the case for all cultures, however. In this presentation, we'll be talking about some of the non-verbal communication norms that we see in Hispanic society. On the next slide, let's talk about some basic values that we see in Hispanic culture. One of the main basic values that we see is family being a central part to someone's life. Family support provides social support, economic support, and love to most everyone in the Hispanic community. In Cultural Implications and Guidelines for Extension and Family Life Programming with Latino Hispanic Audiences by Charlotte Shoup Olson and Lisa Skogrand, it is mentioned that the family might even be considered part of one's identity. It is also mentioned that you don't necessarily have to be related to someone to consider them your family, such as a close family friend that you refer to as aunt or uncle. Another important thing to take into account is family structure. Family structure in Hispanic society includes the male being the main provider for the family, and the female being the main caretaker of the family, taking care of their children or their parents. In modern times, though, we do see how some of these roles have changed or become different. It is not uncommon to see many generations living together under one roof. Regardless of change, we will always see that elders are treated with the utmost respect. Some Hispanic nonverbal communication examples that we see in everyday life is a decrease of personal space when it comes to normal conversation. This also might include when an area is very saturated with a lot of people. It's not uncommon to lose any sort of personal space. This might happen, for example, on the way home in a train or at a party. Another example that we see is an increase of touch. It's not uncommon to greet an acquaintance with a quick kiss on both cheeks when seeing them on the street. To us, this may be very strange. Another thing that we see in Hispanic culture is a decrease of eye contact when talking with someone whom you think deserves a lot of respect or may be above you in your station, such as a boss or an elder. On the next slide, we'll see some of the differences with our culture. In our textbook, Understanding Human Communication, by Ronald B. Adler, George Rodman, and Athena Dupree, we take into account that with familiar people, our normal personal space ranges from 18 inches to 4 feet. However, in business situations, our personal space ranges from 4 feet to 12 feet. This is a huge disparity when we compare to that we just analyzed in Hispanic cultures. Another important disparity that we see is eye contact. In American culture, we take eye contact as a sign of being interested in what the other person might be saying, or as a way to say that I'm paying attention to you. If we see someone who does not give us eye contact, we might think that they are not interested in the conversation or might be thinking of something elsewhere. However, if we come into contact with somebody of the Hispanic culture and we imply some of the things that we are used to doing on a normal social basis, they might consider it rude. Like, if they move closer to us because their sense of personal space is decreased and we back up, that could be seen as extremely rude. Or it could mean that you don't want to talk to them and you just want to leave. Also, if you look someone directly in the eye when they are your elder or deserve more respect, that is also seen as extremely rude. Now, not one way of communication is exactly right. It all depends on which culture you were brought up with and what your culture seems socially appropriate and what is not deemed socially appropriate. In this presentation, we only touched on one culture, the Hispanic culture. However, there are thousands of other cultures that are just waiting to be viewed and waiting to be looked at. Thank you.